Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review. And since it's Women's History Month, I'm here today to talk to you about Mom, Season 1, Episode 1, the pilot. This came out in 2013. I love the trailer for it. And I was going to watch it because Anna Faris was in there. And I love Anna Faris, man. She is so hilarious. But I've never seen Anna Faris act like this before. Normally when she does movies, she's very zany and everything. And here she was still funny, but she was chill funny, and her voice was different in this. Normally, she speaks with this really soft, young kind of voice, like, "Oh no, Bobby," like that, you know what I'm saying? And like very like wild and crazy at times. But here she was just subtle and her voice sounded normal. So apparently in all those movies like The House Bunny and scary movies, she was using like a fake voice. I never knew that. And like her voice is about as normal can be. I'm just like, what? And so like this show was hilarious and stuff. I only own the first season because that's only the season I like. I tapped out of this show by the third season because the entire format changed. And that really bugged the crap out of me. Basically, this is a show about a mother named Christy, played by Anna. And Christy is a waitress. And when we first see her in the first opening, she's just crying and everything. She's upset. And, she works at this really great restaurant. And so, like, when she goes home, we've realized, okay, she lives in this house. She has two kids, and she's a recovering addict. She's a former drug addict and a former alcoholic. Now, what's funny about that is that Anna Faris actually pitched an idea being a drug addict in the House Bunny, but they said no, you're just gonna be in Playboy and live in a sorority. So now she finally got to play what she wanted. I don't know why she wanted to do the whole drug thing. I don't know why. So basically, all her life, she was a crappy mom. And so, like, she finally got her life back together and she goes to AA meetings and stuff like that. And so, like, after she's done crying and everything, she's just so emotionally upset and everything. And some of her employees don't like her. And her boss is all like, just go home until you calm down and stuff like that. She comes home to see a half naked dude come out her daughter's bedroom window. And, her daughter is just like a wild child named Violet. And her son Roscoe is just sleep in her bed. And so, like, she is just so emotional. She's a wreck, but she's trying to be the best mom she can be. And so her boss comes over and they start making out. So she has a little incentive, at her job. And so when we see her at an AA meeting and stuff, she's talking about how, like, she's been this many days sober and she had a crappy childhood. And the reason for that is because of her mom. Her mom was a drug addict. Her mom was an alcoholic in and out of jail, just like Christy and stuff. And so she learned from like her mom, and she fears that her daughter is turning out to be the same way, which she is. Her daughter does like weed, and I don't know if she drinks or not. And so when she's done doing her little speech, she sits down, and then this woman all of a sudden with long hair and who's older is all like, "You shouldn't blame all your problems on your mom." And then Christy's all like, "Hi, mom." And I'm just like, what? So her mom goes to her AA meetings too. And so, like, during the rest of this episode, it turns out her boss is actually married. And so she is upset because she didn't know that. And so when she goes home, like, her son Roscoe is playing video games with her ex named Baxter. And Baxter is a deadbeat father who always scheming and like all this other stuff and lives with his van. And he's a terrible father. And so he has like another scheme, and she don't want to go around with that. She's just not for that. And Viola's boyfriend comes out half naked. His name is Luke, and he's a stoner and everything like that. Her daughter is super rude. Now her daughter is played by Sadie Calvano, I think her name is. And basically she's just like, an angsty teen who messes around and and just like super rude, but she gets along very great with her grandmother, which Christy hates and everything. And so Christy, I don't think, has seen her mom in a good while. And so like her daughter gets on to her and is all like, Christy's all like, I'm doing the best I can, blah, 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 blah. And her daughter's all like, well, you don't even like forgive grandmother. So she calls like, her mom up and she's talking about like, I forgive you because being like a crappy mother and all this other crap. And so like, basically Christy, the reason why she was crying is because she wanted to be a psychiatrist but never did. And so at some point it ends with Bonnie, who's the grandmother, played by Allison Janney and everything. Basically she comes home and they're talking and she's all like, oh yeah, your daughter might be pregnant. So it's like, crap, it's just one cycle repeating each other with like, the ladies of the family, the grandma, the mom, and the daughter. And that's what got me hooked on this show. 3 generations of screw ups, and 2 of them are trying to change their life, right? Well, later on in like, the series, Bonnie lives with Christy in season 1 because she doesn't have a place. And so it makes for like a whole lot of shenanigans because Christy hates her mom to death. And on top of that, she has to deal with her ex. She has to deal with sleeping with her boss who's like married. And like, she has all this chaotic stuff and it's hard for her to stay sober, especially with her mom getting on her nerves. And so that was fun. I like that until season 2 rolled around. In season 2, because Allison Janney was such a huge fan favorite, they decided to revolve the second season around her character and no longer around the Christy character. All of a sudden, Bonnie's ex comes back into play, who turns out to be Christy's father. And Bonnie and Christy got kicked out of that one home, and now they're living in like this apartment type place where Bonnie is like, the handyman type person, so they can get like free rent. And so then the whole season pretty much just revolves around um Bonnie first hating her ex and then falling back in love with him only for him to die, and she can't cope with that. And then she goes back to like drinking and stuff like that. And so it was still fine after a while until around season 3 came around. See, by this lasted for 8 seasons, by the way. So by season 3, the tone of the show, or actually the format of the show, started to slowly change. And it started to change with Baxter cleaning himself up, getting married, and taking Roscoe. So now Roscoe was written out of the show. And then Violet, the daughter, she dumped Luke and she got with this older man and got married. So then she was written off the show. And I'm just like, well, hold up. This is supposed to be about a mother, a recovering addict, and her wacky family and her out of control daughter and this and that, trying not to make the same mistakes that the mom did. And now you wrote both her and the son off. The daughter comes back for like a recurring role in season 6, but then leaves again. And I'm just like, this is not what I signed up for. Then they added new cast members. See, by season 2, they started to make friends with like, women that were closer to Christy's grandma's, not grandma, Christy's mother age. And also around Christy's age too. But it was older women. And so like these women were like in there, like, cause one of the ladies is 60 now. So they was like around their 60s and stuff, except for Jamie Kennedy character, who was closer to Christie's age. And so then they joined the show first as recurring characters, but then main characters. And then the show started to revolve around all of them and everything. And then Christie's new boyfriend, who's paraplegic, moved, not Christy, but Bonnie, the mother, the grandmother. Then her boyfriend, who's paraplegic, he moves in and becomes part of the cast. And so then I was just kind of like, what is this? The entire format changed. It went from like a family of addicts to like a bunch of friends that are like addicts and everything. And I really missed the format of like the first season. I did not sign up to watch like a bunch of like friends who are like former addicts and everything go through wild shenanigans. Well, then I stopped, like I said, after season three because everything just changed way too much. Then in the very last season, Anna Faris left the show, and that's when ratings really dropped. See, ratings for this show was always good, and and they was steady, and they was high up there. But then they started to dip around season like seven, and then when Anna left, and nobody still to this day don't know why she left, ratings tanked. They tanked. And then the show got canceled. And so, just for me, it was just the fact that I did not sign up for this show. I signed up for like old family, some wacky hijinks, and them not trying to repeat the mistakes of the former generation. And then it just completely shift and change. Now, one cool thing about adding new cast members is that Kristen Johnston got to, reunite with French Stewart because French is in the show, and first he was a main character, then recurring, then guest, and those two got to reunite from Third Rock from the Sun. And so that was cool. Ah, that was such a great show back in the day. Nobody talks about Third Rock from the Sun. I need to find that on stream. I just want to watch it again. And so one great thing about this show is that I used to always read the comments of people saying, this show has helped them with their addictions and stuff like that. It's funny. I used to complain about this show, and the dude who played Bonnie's new boyfriend will always like my comments of me complaining about how this show kept changing and stuff. Like he realized that, yo, man, I hear you and everything, but I'm still gonna be on the show and make that money. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.